So it's been about a week since this episode of heartburn and silent reflux, and I want to tell you my success story of how I was able to deal with the silent reflux naturally and not give her medication.
Have a baby. Yes, we are.
This was an amazing experience. We have a little more with us now. Welcome everyone to Rocking the Baby, and today I am just talking about living with a baby with silent reflux. And even though I wanted my baby to be the most calm and sweet baby, and I thought that meditating through my entire pregnancy would help, and having a very calm orgasmic birth would help, reality is not like that. At first I thought that my baby was just fussy, and babies are fussy, but no, apparently little tiny Princess Lua Marisol has silent reflux, which is common in babies, and she doesn't speed up, but she suffers a lot in between feedings, and we're just trying to figure things out. It's okay, it's okay. It's okay. Oh, baby. So, little Lua Marisol is wonderful baby, but she suffers of silent reflux, which is kind of like a heartburn, but she doesn't even speed up much. She sometimes, very rarely, she'll speed up, but she'll just scream out of after feedings and for hours until it starts settling, and then she passes out. And it's like that every day. Some days are better than others. I have changed my diet, so some days are really good. I took all the milk and dairy and eggs and soy and tomato out of my diet. But sometimes, I don't know, something you eat might have dairy and you don't even know, and might have something in there that might aggravate her, and then all of a sudden after a feeding the screaming starts, and she's just in horrible pain and suffering, and we cannot put her down in her back, and she will cry even more, so I have to be holding her up straight like this and just comforting her. And it's completely heartbreaking to see it and to just get through it, because it's tiring for her, it's tiring for us. She needs to conserve her energies because she needs to grow, and screaming for hours and suffering like that doesn't help, and she needs to eat, and this is related to the milk. You know, the milk is good for her. It's not that I don't consider at all stop breastfeeding, so that's not even an option. That's what she needs. But I just need to watch my diet and just get through it, because it's also that the sphincter, she just burped, which is like the little flap on top of the esophagus that stops the acid from coming up, is still developing, and it's about 3 months to still develop. And being smaller babies and premature babies and earlier babies, it's even worse, you know, because they still didn't develop that ability to stop the acid from coming up. So it is, for me, I guess, a waiting game. We went to the doctor today, and he prescribed I think it was Zantac, type of a Zantac for babies, and I I did tons of research. I actually picked it up. It's right there. And I just don't have the courage to give her anything else and I did a lot of research on it, and some functional doctors are really against giving it because it doesn't really treat the symptoms. It just kind of reduces the acid in her stomach, which the acid is there for a reason, and it's just, it can cause so many other side effects, and she's not going to be able to process some kinds of vitamins that are necessary for her, and protect her from some diseases, from some viruses that the acid has the ability to do. That's the job of the acid in our stomachs. It's there for a reason. So just reducing that acid is really scary for me to just even think about this intervention. So I don't know, I'm not judging any mother that does give that to the babies. It's a choice, and every mother has a choice. And right now, I don't know what to do. I just hope that I can comfort her and change my diet completely and supplement my diet with probiotics and make sure that I'm trying to give her probiotics too. I'm even reluctant to that because I believe that she was born perfect and her flora should be just still developing, and kind of adding some probiotics, bacteria in there could be good or could be bad. I don't know. She might be depending on that. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But it's just all the thoughts that come into my mind. And I bet that if you are a mother, you deal with this situation. Oh, poor baby. So this is just another day, another vlog. And right now I am considering, I have a couple shows coming up that I picked up already and in the end of this month, and it's terrifying for me to think that I'll have to leave her for a few hours. It's just a few hours, not much, but I don't know, I'm really considering in canceling them and not going because I want to be there for her, and no one can comfort her like I do, or me or Mac, and some of the shows I will have to leave her with my mom or my sister, which my mom and my sister are amazing, but it's just like that feeling of having to leave her and not be there for her personally, and to not have her mommy lab to just hold her and just, I don't know, it's just really scary. So still don't know what to do. So this is another log dealing with a baby with silent reflux. She's been better because I changed my diet and I cut eggs and dairy and soy and tomatoes and everything, but it's hard. Sometimes there are things that you eat that there is eggs in the composition. Like, I don't know, I ate a piece of bread this morning, so maybe that was it. And sometimes you end up eating something that might upset her. So it's just a trial and error. Some days are better than others, and I'll just be practicing my infinite patience and unconditional love and just be here and try to make the best judgments I can to help my baby. And I hope every mother out there, I wish the best for every mother out there that is dealing with something similar and having to make a decision of whatever they have to do, that we just make a decision with an open heart, that we're not perfect and our decision might not be the right one, but it's the right one for us. So thanks for watching. So it's been about a week since this episode of heartburn and silent reflux, and I want to tell you my success story of how I was able to deal with the silent reflux naturally and not give her medication. She came back from the hospital and she was fine. She's about a month and a half now. She's 6 weeks. So probably about when she was 3 weeks, she started having like this screams, and she was like arching her back like this and putting her tongue out, and her tongue was white. She didn't spit up, but we didn't know what it was, and I knew she was very uncomfortable. She would cry almost 24/7, and every time I would give her the boob, right after she was drinking, like she finished drinking, I could tell that she was screaming in pain. So I did a little research and I found out that could be silent reflux. I took her to the doctor, and first they gave me probiotics, and then a week later she was still fussy, and then he gave me medication. I think it is retin something. I will tell you guys later, but it's medication to reduce acidity in the stomach. So we came home and I looked that up, and I looked a lot of videos. I'm pretty much like a natural person. I don't discredit at all Western medicine at all. I believe in medications as well, and I know that they can help us when we need, but I'm not a person to just jump on it and just give a medicine, especially to a newborn that has everything so intact and perfect, and so untouched, pristine. So I didn't want to put any medication in there. And I found a functional doctor talking about the dangers of acid reducing drugs. And I was terrified, because it talks about how we can reduce the ability of the baby to absorb some nutrients, to absorb some vitamins, and to kill bacteria, and the acidity is needed in their stomachs, and that's why it's there, and that's not the root of the cause. The root of the situation is just masking the problem, blah blah blah, and then there is rebounds. And I was like really skeptical and afraid, so I started researching, and I had already cut milk from my diet. I had already cut cheese, any dairy, and eggs and tomatoes, and also soy. I started figuring out that when I would eat these things, she would get reflux. So this doctor was also talking about cutting gluten, and now it's been a week and I cut gluten, so diet's been very rough. I was vegetarian before I got pregnant, and now I'm basically paleo. So I'm eating meat and organic vegetables, everything as organic as possible, and not eating any gluten, and no bread, no dairy, and nothing. And it's been a week of success. Oh, she is doing great. She's still having fussy times on the evening, which we're going to talk about in another video, because I read and I heard and the doctor told me it's called the witching hours, and we're going to talk about the witching hours. But throughout the day, she's doing great, and she's sleeping great, and she's also having her bowel movements, and I think we did it. So to wrap up this video, if you have any questions, put your comments below. But I was able to just get her on track without giving her the medication. I do believe that medication sometimes is necessary, but at this time, I was able to just ditch the medicine, ditch the drugs, and just treat my little baby and treat me and her by just completely changing my diet. And it's tough, I'm sticking to it, but I just love her so much, and I don't want to see her suffering, that whenever that chocolate cake is in front of me, I say no, or butter or cheese. Oh, no, for my baby's sake. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if your baby has silent reflux, if you are going through the same struggle, let's talk about it. and subscribe to the channel. We are having fun having a baby and rocking the baby. And I probably will take up on my shows again, because I said that I would cancel them, but maybe I will take up on them again. I have a couple shows coming up. I'm still a little terrified of going to perform and leaving her, especially because of the witching hours. We'll talk later, but let's see. I'll be rocking, so I'll see you in the next episode. Namaste.
Have a baby.
Yes, we are. This was an amazing experience.